It was a balmy Friday afternoon, the kind where the air hums with a slow, lazy heat and the city seems to exhale. I'd made a quiet decision that morning to surprise my wife at work with lunch. Just the two of us. Things between us had felt distant lately, frayed at the edges by long hours and separate routines. I wanted to do something small but meaningful, to remind her of us the way we used to smile without effort. How easy things had once felt. I picked up her favorite takeout from that little eatery she always craved on rough days, imagining the look on her face when she saw me, that warm expression she used to wear when I'd show up unannounced. As I entered her office building, the receptionist gave me a cheerful nod, waving me past without question. I moved quietly through the corridors, careful not to announce myself too soon. I wanted the moment to catch her off guard in the best way. Her voice reached me before she did. Light, laughing, so at ease. It echoed softly down the hallway, weaving between the office walls like a song. I paused, the smile already forming on my face, but the words that followed rooted me to the ground. Near the water cooler, she stood, with a tall man I didn't recognize, confident, smooth to close. Her stance was relaxed, even flirtatious. The lines of her body tilted toward him in a way I hadn't seen directed at me in a long time. "Oh, Kevin," she said with a teasing lilt, gently swatting his arm, "you're incorrigible. If I'm not careful, I'll think you're trying to sweep me off my feet." The world slowed. My grip on the takeout bag tightened until the plastic handles bit into my palm. Kevin laughed and leaned closer, his voice warm and full of intention. "Maybe I am," he said. "You haven't told me if you're taken." She lowered her eyes, a coy smile tracing her lips. "Let's just say it's not so straightforward." And then she saw me, her face drained of color. The laughter died in her throat. Kevin turned, following her gaze, the shift in the atmosphere tightening around us like a noose. I didn't speak. Not right away. I simply looked at her. At this version of her I didn't recognize, the one who glowed under a stranger's attention. The silence between us spoke volumes. She took a hesitant step forward. "John, this isn't what it looks like." But it was exactly that. It was the ease of her smile, the tilt of her head, the sparkle in her eye, things I hadn't seen, aimed in my direction in months. I lifted the bag in my hand. "Thought we could have lunch," I said evenly, my voice carefully level. "Looks like I misjudged." Then I turned and walked away. My footsteps felt heavier with every stride, as though the floor itself was betraying me. I reached the car and sank into the driver's seat, heart pounding, the stillness deafening. I stared at the dash, unable to blink away the image of her leaning into that man's space, dismissing our marriage like it was some vague technicality. She came running minutes later, breathless, panicked, eyes red-rimmed and pleading. "John, please don't go," she gasped, reaching for the window as I cracked it slightly. "It meant nothing. Kevin's just a co-worker. I was being stupid, just joking around." I looked at her, really looked. This was the woman I'd shared nearly 8 years with. Birthdays, late-night confessions, rainy Sundays. Yet now, she looked like someone else entirely. "You said it was complicated," I said softly, my voice hollow. "Is it?" she faltered, blinking. I don't know. Things haven't been right. You've felt so far away. And I've been lonely, that's all." The words stung sharper than I expected. I'd felt her pulling away for months, and I tried to talk, to understand, to hold on to what we had. But every time, she brushed it off, claimed everything was fine while she silently built walls I couldn't climb. "Loneliness doesn't excuse betrayal," I said, my voice colder now, edged with the hurt I could no longer swallow. "If you were hurting, you should have said something. You don't mend a marriage by flirting with someone else. That's not how this works." She broke down then, right there in the parking lot, her shoulders shaking, words tumbling over tears. She insisted it was harmless, just meaningless banter, nothing more. But some things don't need to go further to cause damage. A vow isn't broken only in bedrooms, it shatters in moments like that. When loyalty is made into a punchline. "I never meant to hurt you," she cried, voice hoarse. "Please don't walk away from me." But something inside me had already started to retreat. Something had fractured the second I watched her bask in someone else's attention, offering smiles and glances that used to be mine. "I need space. I said finally. Steady and resolute. Time to think. Time to figure out what, if anything, can be repaired. She begged me to come home, to listen, to let her explain. But I wasn't ready to hear her justifications. Not when trust had slipped through my fingers like sand. Not when the woman I loved had let herself become a stranger. I drove away, her image fading in the rearview mirror. But the scene stayed burned into my mind, her laughter, the way she said it wasn't straightforward, the look of guilt that came too late. That moment had carved something out of me. Trust, once broken, doesn't come back easily. Maybe, in time, we'd find a way back to each other. Or maybe that door had already closed for good. But one thing I knew with painful certainty: whatever future lay ahead, it would never again look the way it used to.